YouTube! I love how Farfa opens videos by saying YouTube so that way people don't forget where they're watching. Daily motion! Darkwing Blast seems to be literally changing everything. And I don't mean a standard DZ YouTube thumbnail. Seriously, look at this shit. It's like a movie franchise title or something he's come up with. Let's take a look at Spellbound, one of the coolest artworks that I've seen in a long time. Hence the name bearing its mark on these mind control automata looking drones, these beautiful mommy looking robots that are just... Spellbound is a quick play spell card which says that all monsters your opponent controls cannot be used as materials for various summons. Naturally, this has caused a strong parallel between itself and Dimensional Barrier, and this card, without a doubt, appears to become the next Dimensional Barrier. What, you don't believe me? As always in Yu-Gi-Oh! There is the parallel between the duality of duelists, which is this card is the most incredible, broken thing ever made, and
behind me is one of the worst cards ever printed. That's right, Spellbound. Want to know why this card is bad? Well, firstly, everyone's been comparing it to D-Barrier, but D-Barrier is actually good, so already that comparison falls flat.
Well, let's take a deep dive into Spellbound today and see whether this is the absolute sauce or piss water. I don't know why we're on the water meme today. The natural comparison between itself and D-Barrier is that certain monsters cannot be used as material for accessing your extra deck for various powerful summons, but also Spellbound has the ability to prevent tribute summons as well on top of various Xyz, Synchro, Link, and Fusion materials. And so I think that's as far as why people are comparing it to Dimensional Barrier. It's a way to lock your opponent from using resources that they've accumulated onto the field to be used as materials for a summon. So this is just better D-Barrier, but also a spell card, right? Well, it's not that simple. Now, looking at the positives of this card is where we'll begin. This is, of course, a quick play spell card, and I think a lot of people have maybe managed to miss that little key point here when looking at the card border as to whether or not this is a good card, because Dimensional Barrier is a trap card. This card happens to have a green border, or blue border, or teal, or turquoise, or cyan. I'm not going to get into this debate and argument with you once again. Being able to use this going second means that you have the added ability to, as a versatile measure, go first and set it and wait and D-Barrier your opponent, or go second and prevent them from summoning on your turn, of which there is a decent way to summon on your opponent's turn in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I think this is where the major diversion is for this card, is that you can go second with this card. But when we try and really break it down and fundamentally look at just exactly what this can do going second, you might start to ask and beg the question, don't other cards kind of really do the same job as Spellbound and what it's trying to do, but just a little bit better? Because this does appear to be the main selling point, is that this card is a D-Barrier, although weaker, but offsetted with the ability to use it going second. And so in principle, the concept of this card is that it's designed to stop your opponent from using their field as materials for summons that they would be using on your turn. For example, let's take a deck like Floowandereeze. If you're playing against Flunder, you can set this card, put two little birds on the field, you activate this, and boop, they cannot use them as tribute fodder for this turn, which is extremely important in preventing Flunder from being able to establish something like M-Pen. Now, when you go second, you're able to activate this card and prevent them from bringing out those little birds to be used as tribute fodder on your turn to stop them from establishing an Apex Avion negate, or from dumping Mega Rise onto the field to recycle that amazing dimensional shifter they've definitely drawn, or spinning your entire board away. And this is, I think without a doubt, after talking to multiple different people and stuff, probably the best use of Spellbound is probably contextually, contemporarily, today, is the best matchup would be something like Flunder. But again, if we try and really break this down, you gotta ask yourself, is there kind of just better cards that deal with Flunder? This doesn't stop the barrier statue, it doesn't stop the field spell, and if you've lost the dice roll, it doesn't stop the M-Pen they've established. And further than that, if they've drawn the all-important cursed dimensional shifter, doesn't deal with that either. Now, it's hard to find cards that deal with almost every situation ever, in every negative context in this game without a doubt, but I'm struggling to see what this really does for you in the Flunder matchup where you wouldn't just maybe prefer mass back row removal or mass monster removal. And it's hard to really find other matchups in the game that this card really deals with. The most important card that I can think of is IP Masquerena, the most generic summon on your opponent's turn card that exists in Yu-Gi-Oh! Okay, so we're gonna play Spellbound to deal with Masquerena. Right. There's like a million other cards you can play, like infinite impermanence, that deal with Masquerade. If you really care that much about Masquerena, I don't know. There's Droplet as well, which is more versatile, I feel like. Spellbound is not quite the D-barrier that it's being made out to be. And for the context and for the specific scenarios and situations that I think people are imagining with Spellbound going second, which is supposed to be its strong suit, is that it's a quick play spell that lets you go second. I just think in any and all of the situations you can think of where Spellbound would be optimal, there's almost always just going to be a better answer, like generic things like Droplet, D-Barrier, or Imperm. I don't think Spellbound is a bad card. I think it might maybe one day get its meta and get its matchup, but for now, I just don't see what this is offering versus other cards. Going first, D-Barrier's just better, it lingers, it stops the entire turn, and going second, effect negation and monster removal tends to beat decks that have this mass summoning on your turn. I'm going to give it a card rating of 4.3 out of 10. I think Spellbound is a little bit below average, and I think that in basically almost all scenarios there's a better replacement, and really for this card to truly shine, it's going to need a deck that absolutely only plays on your turn, which I don't really think there's that much of a deck that exists in the meta for this right now. Okay, thank you for watching, peace out, let me know what you think down below, leave a comment, like, subscribe, and until next time, adios.